Good day, everyone. I am Nanette Ekat from BSITM 2Y2-3. Today, we will be discussing the decoding part of Asian regionalism. But before we dive into that, let's first understand what Asian regionalism is. Asian regionalism refers to the process of economic, political, and social integration among Asian countries. It involves cooperation between nations in the region to promote economic growth, stability, and cultural exchange. Asian regionalism helps countries work together to address common challenges, strengthen diplomatic relations, and create a more interconnected and competitive region in the global economy. Now that we have discussed Asian regionalism and its role in regional cooperation, let's shift our focus to a major economic challenge that affects not just Asia but the entire global economy: trade wars.
China wasted no time announcing its own response to new tariffs from the United States. It will impose extra levies of 15% on American chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, while soybeans, sorghum, pork, beef, fruits, vegetables, and seafood will receive an added 10%. It's also added 25 American companies to its export and investment control lists, restricting their ability to do business in the country, and says it will sue the US at the World Trade Organization.
After the US imposed a 25% tariff on Chinese goods, China responded with its own tariffs on American products. This dispute raised concerns about a possible trade war and its impact on the global economy. These escalating tensions affected not only the two countries involved but also had a ripple effect on the Asian economies and international trade. Now that we understand the trade tension between US and China, let's now decode its implication. Question number 1. What is the impact of this news on the world market? The news suggests a growing trade conflict between the two largest economies, the United States and China, which could have significant consequences for the world market. A trade war between these economic giants would disrupt global supply chains, increase the cost of goods, and slow down economic growth worldwide. Many countries rely on trade with both the US and China, so increased tariffs could lead to price hikes, reduce consumer spending, and certainty international trade. This could also lead to a decline in investor confidence, resulting in fluctuations in global stock markets and economic stability in countries that depend on trade with these two nations. Question number 2. Why do you think the Trump administration recommended new 25% tariffs on Chinese goods? The Trump administration likely imposed 25% tariffs on Chinese goods to address concerns about trade imbalances, intellectual property theft, and unfair trade practices. The US has long accused China in engaging in unfair trade tactics such as forced technology transfers, government subsidies, and dumping cheap products in the US market. By imposing higher tariffs, Trump aimed to reduce the trade deficit with China, encourage domestic manufacturing, and pressure China into making trade concessions that would benefit American industries. However, such tariffs can also backfire by increasing costs for American consumers and businesses that rely on Chinese input. Question number 3. What is your opinion about China hitting back with its proposed tariffs for 106 American products? China's response was expected as no country would accept trade restrictions without retaliation. By imposing tariffs on 106 American products, including major US exports like soybeans, aircraft, and automobiles, China strategically targeted industries that would pressure the Trump administration. This move also signals that China is unwilling to be seen as weak in the face of US trade policies. While some may see this as necessary defensive measure, others may argue that it escalates tensions and increases the likelihood of prolonged economic disputes that could harm both nations and their trading partners. A more constructive approach would be for both countries to engage in negotiations rather than implementing aggressive trade barriers. Question number 4. How does this trade war affect the global economy? A trade war between US and China can have widespread consequences for the global economy.
First, it creates instability in financial markets, leading to stock price fluctuations and decreased investor confidence. Second, it disrupts global supply chains as many countries depend on trade with both nations for raw materials and finished products. Third, it raises production costs and consumer prices, leading to inflation and reduced purchasing power.
Question number 5. Does this war affect the Asian region? Why do you say so? Yes, the trade war significantly affects the Asian region. Many Asian countries such as Japan, South Korea, and ASEAN nations have strong trade ties with both the US and China. If tariffs increase, these countries may experience economic slowdowns due to decreased demand for their exports and disruptions in their supply chains. The US-China trade war has far-reaching consequences affecting not just the two countries involved, but also the global economy, international markets, and the Asian region. While each side seeks to protect its economic interests, prolonged disputes could lead to economic instability, higher consumer prices, and reduced global trade. Negotiation and diplomatic solutions would be the best way to prevent further economic damage and ensure sustainable global economic growth. Thank you for your time and attention.